Safeguarding marine ecosystem, federal government confident that national strategic plan documents will bolster economic growth.
The true measure of our success lies in tangible benefits we bring to our communities and the ecosystem we are trusted to protect.
Robust military operation targets ending terrorism and banditry in northwestern Nigeria.
Our troops are ready and willing to fight this to an end.
Even if it is temporary choices that will cause hardship, so that our children will live a better future.
Ending violence against children, stakeholders in Nigeria's project draw action plan as global conference nears. Hello and thank you for joining us on Network News at 9 on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Lami Ali. Joining me are Benny Adams with Business News Tonight, and Bade Adeleye has the latest in the world of sports. You can also follow this broadcast on nta.ng/live and on other social media handles of the NTA. Now we begin from Sweden. Vice President Kashim Shettima has led other Nigerian officials to sign a memorandum of understanding between Nigeria and telecom giant Ericsson on a 5G innovation lab. The MOU was signed at Ericsson's global headquarters research and development lab in Kista, north of Stockholm. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrila brings us the details.
The deal is aimed at placing Nigeria among world's top users of the 5G network in terms of productivity and boosting Nigeria's technological capabilities. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy signed the MOU on behalf of the Nigerian government, while Peter Olusoji Ogundele, country manager, Ericsson Nigeria, signed on behalf of the telecom giant. 5G is the fifth generation of cellular networks set to be 100 times faster than 4G, thereby creating unprecedented opportunities for people, businesses and technology across the world.
For the reforms that is going on in the country and our ambition to raise the level of productivity and make our economy more competitive, it is important that we use the strength of the VP and this visit to truly deepen the relationship, and that's what the VP has done with all the meetings that he's had. So the MOU in particular is very focused on ensuring that Nigeria can make the most of 5G technologies.
Vice President Kashim Shettima briefed on the company's technological evolution, radio spectrum matters, standardization, as well as cyber and network security, inquired about the possibility of deploying 5G technology to help Nigeria improve security of oil facilities, prevent oil theft and pipeline vandalization. Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima has met with the Swedish Prime Minister in Stockholm. The high-level talks focused on strengthening bilateral relations with discussions covering trade expansion, strategic partnerships, regional security cooperation, deepened collaborations, and proactive interventions. Earlier in Sweden, Vice President Kashim Shettima also toured automobile giant Scania's headquarters in Sweden, describing it as a strategic engagement to discuss Nigeria's market potentials and explore deeper collaboration opportunities. Exploring biofuel solutions for Nigeria's transport sector, Vice President Kashim Shettima stressed that all options must be on the table to address Nigeria's transportation challenges. Abdulrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Now, stakeholders in Nigeria's marine and blue economy are eagerly awaiting the implementation of the National Strategic Plan documents following the successful deliberation and adoption of the draft. Vivian Eziadife reports that the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy expressed confidence that the strategy will bolster economic growth and safeguard the country's marine ecosystem.
Nigeria is poised to aggressively unlock the vast potentials of its marine resources, following the successful validation of its national blue economy strategy. This significant milestone marks a crucial step towards harnessing the country's freshwater and maritime resources to drive economic growth and sustainable development. Key stakeholders, including representatives from the Ministry of Agriculture, Budget and National Planning, as well as water resources, have pledged to support and collaborate with the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. Emphasis has been placed on the need for policies that support the initiative, with Minister of Marine and Blue Economy Adegbenga Oyetola acknowledging the support of the African Union, Inter-African Bureau for Animal Resources and the Kingdom of Norway.
Let us remember that the true measure of our success lies in the tangible benefits we bring to our communities and the ecosystem we are trusted to protect.
The National Blue Economy Strategy represents a promising step towards a prosperous future driven by sustainable economic growth, job creation, and environmental protection. Vivian Izadifi, NTA News.
A new military operation to eliminate terrorists and bandits in the northwest is set to commence as the military prepares to launch a new theater command in the northwest, codenamed Operation Pansanyama, to clear all security threats in the region. This was revealed by the Minister of Defense, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, during his visit to Government House, Kaduna. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
The Northwest has been battling with security challenges, displacing people in their homes and villages, with the security agencies on top of their game, striving hard to find a lasting solution to this lingering problem. The Minister of Defense and his team, who have taken the front seat, providing the necessary support for the security agencies to succeed, are moving from one state to another to assess the situation on ground. Undeterred by the late hours, the team arrived Government House Kaduna, all in a mission to strengthen collaboration with the state government to end security challenges in the region. The minister says preparations are already underway to launch a new theater command in the Northwest.
We have seen tremendous successes in the last few months, and we will continue to maintain the tempo with your support. We will continue to push, and our troops are ready and willing to fight this to an end.
This visit will also enable you to put finishing touches to preparation for the official launch of Operation Pansanyama, the newly established theater command for the Northwest region and adjoining states like Niger. I must not end my remarks without expressing our profound appreciation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for his uncommon and sustained support to the Northwest zone.
As the minister continues visiting more states to assess the situation on ground, he says the security agencies will continue to put in more effort to fully eliminate the bandits. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
In other security-related news, troops of the Nigerian Armed Forces have eliminated 5 IPOB and Eastern Security Network terrorist leaders and arrested a notorious terrorist commander identified as Usman Mesaji. A statement by the Director Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, says a high-profile terrorist leader known as Kachella Boka was also apprehended and now assisting troops with useful details for further operations. Similarly, troops eliminated 96 terrorists and arrested 227 criminals in the last 7 days, while 157 kidnapped victims were rescued within the period. 2 towers along Shiroro-Kaduna transmission lines have been vandalized, disrupting power supply to the northwest part of the country. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, in a statement says it will deploy the newly procured emergency restoration system to the site, pending the reconstruction of the damaged towers. TCN states that it has conducted an aerial survey in collaboration with security operatives, given the area's vulnerability to banditry, which poses threat to both TCN installations and personnel. A temporary measure is in place to supply bulk power to Kaduna and Kano regions through Kaduna-Jos transmission line. Victims of the recent tanker explosion in Majia in Taure local government area of Jigawa State taken to hospitals in 4 northwestern states are responding to treatment following the activation of a special emergency response unit in the hospitals. Ibrahim Sani visited some of these units at Rashid Shekoni Federal Teaching Hospital and has a situation report.
The Majia tanker explosion incident on 15 October 2024 was a devastating event that has left tragic consequences in its wake. This catastrophe resulted in more than 150 fatalities and more than 100 injuries, prompting urgent medical responses across the state. More than 70 injured victims were admitted to hospitals across northwestern states, including Kano, Bauchi, Yobe, and Jigawa. Victims receiving treatment at the Rashid Shekoni Federal Teaching Hospital in Dutse, the capital of Jigawa State, are showing signs of recovery.
I'm recovering. I'm feeling much better now.
The medical personnel are working diligently to provide necessary care and support to the injured.
We don't have any complication as far now. All they are regaining their consciousness.
Stakeholders in Jigawa State are calling for donor agencies to intervene in managing the cases in hospitals, emphasizing the urgent need for additional support.
Whenever such incidents happens, people rush out with different containers to fetch the oil.
It is high time for the donors and international communities to intervene.
Their concern reflects the need for immediate and long-term assistance to aid recovery efforts. This tragedy has indeed raised the need for awareness regarding safety measures and the need for improved regulations to prevent future occurrences. In Dutse, Ibrahim Sani, NTA News.
The National Cash Transfer Office under the National Social Investment Program Agency, NSIPA, has released the sum of 10,282,300,000 naira to 411,292 households across the 36 states and FCT who are beneficiaries of the Renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer. A statement by the National Coordinator, CEO, National Social Investment Program Agency, Badamasi will disclose that the fund is the second tranche of payments made directly to the beneficiaries' bank accounts nationwide. The Renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer under the National Cash Transfer Office is aimed at alleviating the sufferings of the poor and vulnerable Nigerians. You're watching the Network News. Time now to take a break to bring you some messages. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back. As part of efforts to strengthen the nation's education system, First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has distributed instructional and e-learning materials to public schools in Gombe State. Wife of the state governor, Asma'u Inuwa, who flagged off the distribution on behalf of Mr. Tinubu, said it was in line with the renewed hope agenda of the president. Zahra Umar now reports.
Provision of adequate teaching and learning materials, they say, determines how good a school is, and therefore every serious-minded government often pay attention to it. This is with the handing over of 10,000 exercise books, motorcycle, mini-buses, sports items and learning materials to schools across the 11 local government areas of Gombe State, courtesy of the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu in collaboration with Gombe State government.
These materials may seem simple, but they carry within them the power to transform lives. A pencil in the hand of a child can write the future of an entire generation. As these materials reach our schools, let them serve as a reminder that education is the key to breaking the chains of poverty, ignorance, and inequality.
The pupils and students are happy with the gesture, assuring the First Lady of being serious with their studies.
Express our appreciation on your contribution to education in Gombe State at large.
The Renewed Hope initiative of the First Lady encompasses education, agriculture, social investment, and economic empowerment. Zara Umar Adam, NTA News.
The federal government, in a renewed commitment, aims to galvanize national and global support to end all forms of violence against children. This is coming as key players in government sectors and technical groups brainstorm ahead of the first global conference on ending violence against children, scheduled to hold in Colombia later this year. Ngozi Technical reports.
Children are the strength of any society, and building a secured future for them puts the society at ease for growth and development. This is why it has become urgent to put an end to all kinds of violence against children, be it emotional, physical, sexual abuse, not only in Nigeria but globally. Hence, the renewed stance of the federal government.
Let's deny ourselves. Let's embrace, even if it is temporary, choices that will cause hardship so that our children will live a better future, and we believe they will pray for us and they will be proud.
In doing that, we have tried as much as possible to strengthen our law. We have a guideline against school bullying and so many of them, which we have strengthened.
The Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohanenye, calls for punitive measures against perpetrators of violence to serve as deterrent.
Whoever that commits, whoever that maltreats a child, we go in for it.
The conference is expected to bring world leaders and technocrats together to explore strategies for achieving the SDGs 16.2 and ensure the protection of children from neglect, abuse, violence, and exploitation. Ngozi Technical, NTA News.
Technical and vocational training in schools across the country, especially for young girls, has become imperative to bridge gaps and promote socio-economic developments. This is coming from the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, as the just concluded technical and vocational education training camp for over 200 girls in Nigeria held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Umo Basi Edet has the report.
It has been 2 weeks of camping for students of the Federal Science and Technical Colleges drawn from 29 states across the country. On arrival at the FSTC in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, venue of the Maiden TVET camp, the fans wore this look. But with the training received on technical skills with the theme, Painting into the Future, the girls took up their tools, and today the fans wears a new look.
I'm going on with a new impacted knowledge of painting and decorating. It's very rare to come to this type of program, interact with people, learn new things.
A future transformed, girls excelling in male-dominated vocation.
Going to be an integral part of education system. Yes, from January when we start implementing the new curriculum, this will be completely a norm in every school system in Nigeria.
Prizes were given to outstanding students, and for them the future is assured, where no girl is left behind. In Uyo, Umo Basadate, NTA News.
Now, the federal government is encouraging more investors to increase investments in agricultural projects at the grassroots level. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, highlighted this during interactions with investors in Abuja. Musa Baba Aliu reports.
This is an investment meeting between officials of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and agro-allied investors. The investors have expressed interest in investing in Nigeria's informal commodity market through upgrades and linkages with processing markets in Kano, Ibadan, and Owerri, Imo states.
The concept is to offer to agri-foods professionals a single window which dedicated ecosystem, welcoming all type of actors in the agri-food system in place, and which will allow synergies between them.
Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, welcomed the development, but stressed the need to involve all tiers of government.
We should flow with the current thinking of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with respect to granting local government autonomy. Let's, in the model we're going to develop, deliberately and intentionally find a way of making sure they are prepared and placed in that spot where they should be the receptacle.
The rural market investment will fall under the oversight of the Rural Road Agriculture and Market Program, which is jointly funded by the federal government, states, and the World Bank. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children's Education is spreading tentacles to have the buy-in of relevant partners to succeed on its mandate. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Muhammad Sani Idris, visited President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, which he describes as a strong body that must be engaged in efforts to take children off the streets.
We want to tap from the brains of all Nigerians, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their geographical differences, to help us address this problem that is called Nigerian problem.
One of the things that we do is not only to defend the Christian faith, but to promote peaceful coexistence and to work on issues that will touch lives of every Nigerian, regardless of one's religion, ethnic background, or political persuasion, so that people will not think that the project is one-sided.
Following this engagement, the two bodies are expected to drive the presidential Renewed Hope initiative to give hope to Nigerian children roaming the streets in search of means of livelihood. The presidential CNG initiative has decried the unfortunate incidents involving an illegally modified vehicle at a NIPCO CNG station at Ikpogba Hill in Benin City Wednesday, October 16th, as alleged. Commiserating with those injured in the incident, the PCNGI is thankful that no life was lost. The initiative cautioned that safe handling of all hydrocarbon is critical for safety. A statement by the Director and Chief Executive Officer, Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative Program, Michael Oluwagbemi, stated that a close examination of the cylinder in question in Benin City shows it was welded and modified and not approved for use for CNG. The police, regulatory authorities and management of NIPCO are painstakingly undertaking investigation of the incidents in collaboration with the program. The PCNGI and partners will soon launch gas vehicle monitoring system to tackle bad actors in the ecosystem. Time now to join Jennifer in our Lagos studios for news on that end. Hello, Jennifer.
Thank you, Lami. In a bid to equip Nigerians with skills and knowledge to compete on the global export stage, the federal government, through the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, has inaugurated an export skill acquisition and fashion innovative center for women and youth at the Lagos office of the council. Larry Bileyi reports that the center was unveiled by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka Anite.
It is essential to equip youths with the necessary skills to foster a culture of peace, nurture responsible global citizens, promote sustainable development, and also unlock current and future opportunities. Having recognized the importance of equipping young individuals with such skills for challenges that might be encountered in future, conveners of the Next Generation Awards 2024 say the awards will foster leadership, resilience, social responsibility, and healthy rivalry among the youths.
There's a need for the next generation to unravel themselves, to be seen as important, to be appreciated. Of course, there will be challenges along the way, but focus on the goal.
Just because of how you are, just because of your age, nothing stops you from being who you are.
Stakeholders from various sectors, including the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, who was represented by the Managing Director of TV Enterprise, Tunji Adekoya, emphasized the importance of media in bringing such a word to the front burner so as to encourage young individuals to live up to their responsibility.
It's a wonderful project. We believe so much that this is our future. We believe so much in them.
Whatever conversation you are having, you must reflect greatness.
Youths from different schools and institutions across the country were presented with awards for their exceptional performance. In Lagos, Adejoke Odeka, NTA News.
Apologies for the mix-up. That was the 2024 Next Generation Awards, and Adejoke Odeka has given us what happened there. And now we'll go to the initiative that was inaugurated by the minister.
Skill Acquisition Center is established to train women and youth on various skills to make them productive members of the society. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment described the project as a pragmatic approach towards implementing the current administration's renewed hope initiatives, which include the $1 trillion economy.
We still need a lot of skills, a lot of training to develop our artisans to produce to the standards that's globally acceptable. So this training center here, for example, helps to train people, even those who don't even have skill, on how to produce, how to become impactful in the economy.
The nation's Export Promotion Council keyed into the project with a view of tapping into the international $1 billion export value chain, especially from Nigerian fabrics, which are being showcased here.
It's an academy. It's not just to train and go. So they will take exams, and after the training can last between 2 to 3 months. They also give them the guild certificate. So that's also an extension that is also required anywhere in the world. And we are looking at youths and women between the ages of 20 and maximum 45.
I can assure you, in the next 10 years, Nigeria will be one of the biggest exporters of bags out of this country.
The training is also for people living with disabilities. Earlier, Nigerian Export Promotion Council was at a formal engagement with 30 leading exporters, where the Minister and the DG NEPC commended the exporters for their contributions to the nation's economic recovery. In Lagos, Larry Guleyi, NTA News.
Thank you, Larry. We sure have a lot to offer the world when it comes to fashion. Now, those are the stories from Lagos. The news will continue shortly with Benny Adams, who will be taking business news. But after the break...
Good to know you're here, and now talking business. The Executive Secretary, NTA, Dr. Ogbonnaya Orji, says removing structural barriers that prevent women, girls, and other vulnerable groups from participating in the sustainable management of natural resources is a key focus of NTA in a bid to galvanize collective effort towards creating meaningful opportunities for women across this sector. This was at the 6th Nkechi Isigwe Annual Lecture held in Abuja with the theme, Can Women Thrive in Mining?, which speakers here say can be achieved.
We must create opportunities for women to carve out their spaces and add value across the extractive industry value chain. I urge women to take an active interest in NTA reports. Use this information to provide and demand transparency and accountability in the management of our natural resources.
Now, to check the spread of counterfeit products across Nigerian markets, the Standard Organization of Nigeria is sensitizing stakeholders on ethical practices and dangers of patronizing substandard and uncertified products. Hussaini Shehu reports that the program is part of efforts towards reviving the nation's economic landscape.
Nigerian product cannot compete anywhere, be harmful to public. But with standard guide and principle and procedure,
So we are just here to educate average Nigerians on how to identify standard goods, buy them, and it will also boost foreign exchange.
Before you import anything into Nigeria, first you must obtain what we call a product certificate. Once it's under some regulation, not everything, because there are products like food, drugs that are not under our regulation, like you know. So, but all products under our regulation, you must first.
A look at the Nigerian stock market. The Nigerian equities market actually sustained its bearish trend, resulting in an all-share index falling marginally by 0.01 basis points. Let's take a look at the numbers at this point in time. We can see a market capitalization actually increased to 59.4 trillion naira. The all-share index is now 98,070.28 basis points, with the total transactions amounting to 0.01%, which is a depreciation. And we have, looking at the volume of stocks traded, we have 358.8 million. The value is 11.9 billion, while the number of deals is 6,719. This is as sell-offs continue and investors are taking off profit. We hope by next week these figures will change to some positive stance. Well, that is it on business at this time. Lami, is over to you.
Many thanks, Bani. Now, the 7th 2024 Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit, organized by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, in collaboration with the Nigeria Diaspora Summit Initiative, is set to hold between November 5th and 7th. Chairman NIDCOM Abike Dabiri Arewa said the summit, which has as its theme new vistas, new aspirations, new visions in the diaspora and national development, will highlight continuous commitment to unlocking new opportunities for Nigeria's development through diaspora engagements. The NIDCOM boss said the Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit had not only facilitated interactions between diaspora investors, potential business partners, sponsors, and government officials, but had evolved into a dynamic platform where dialogue translates into tangible results that directly impact Nigeria's economy. She added that this year's summit will build upon past achievements.
It's a practical way of attracting investment to Nigeria through the Nigerian diaspora. So this year's summit will not be any different. We expect it to be exceptional and feature insightful discussions, networking opportunities, and actionable strategies to harness the potential of the Nigerian diaspora.
The summit will focus on key sectors that are pivotal to driving investments and fostering growth in Nigeria, including finance, ICT, fintech, creative industries, sports and entertainment, agribusiness, healthcare, education, real estate and infrastructure, as well as manufacturing and mining. President Bola Tinubu is expected as guest of honor among other dignitaries. The federal government is intensifying border surveillance to prevent importation of Marburg virus, a health-threatening outbreak in Rwanda. Director General of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Jide Idris, who confirmed a surge in number of cholera cases at a news conference in Abuja, also gave an update on national efforts to tame all emerging diseases threatening public health. Ulushe Adeabo has more.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, cholera epidemiological summary updates indicates cases have surged to 14,237, with 378 fatalities recorded in 2024. The center emphasized that floodings in Borno, Adamawa, Jigawa, Yobe, and Kano states has exacerbated the situation, making them the epicenter.
The number of suspected cholera cases and deaths in 2004 has more than doubled when compared to this time last year. And that is where we are extremely worried. These numbers reflect the severity of the outbreak and reinforce the need for continuous vigilance and action. It also underscores the developmental issues that should be addressed both at the national and subnational levels.
Then came the strategies deployed to counter the outbreaks, principally the close monitoring of Marburg virus outbreak in Rwanda.
Working with our stakeholders across ministries, departments, and agencies of government, we have activated health declaration forms again at the ports for incoming passengers, especially from affected regions.
The NCDC says it's strengthening collaboration with relevant actors in the One Health approach as it intensifies awareness to drive citizens' participation in the control efforts, especially in taking responsibility of their own health. In Abuja, Oluseyi Adiagbo, NTA.
Now, stakeholders in the health sectors from states and local governments have converged on Abuja to deliberate on sustainable plan of national HIV response towards ending HIV/AIDS by 2030. Director General of NACA, Dr. Temitokpe Ilori, says the meeting has become necessary as the country has the highest burden in West Africa on mother-to-child transmission. Deborah Balagbobo tells us more.
Sustainability plan of the National HIV Response Framework aims to replay the current state of knowledge on the HIV epidemic, provide renewed guidance on the national response and support efforts to mobilize adequate resources and undertake actions towards ending AIDS in Nigeria by 2030. With Nigeria recording 45,000 new infections, Director General NACA, Dr. Temitokpe Ilori, says a lot still needs to be done, especially at the local and state levels.
What this discussion is bringing stakeholders from the state level, from the local government level, to discuss ownership, to discuss accountability, to discuss how to use government-mandated structures in the HIV response.
It is important that we sit down, so our stakeholders, especially at the state level, to discuss and engage and say what is a pathway, to sustainability.
So a conversation has started. So along the line, we now perfect it and see what works.
But stakeholders indicate that some factors to include encouragement of local production of HIV response commodities, mandatory options on use of health insurance, and human resources, among others, must be considered. In Abuja, Deborah Balagbobo, NTA News.
As Ondo State governorship election approaches, key activities are unfolding across the state. Abiola Rio has the tidbits of recent political happenings in the state.
Members of the All Progressives Congress APC alongside its governorship candidate Lucky Aiyedatiwa during its local government campaign was at the palace of the Deji of Akure, Oba Aladelusi Aladetoyinbo Ogunlade, to pay homage to the traditional institution with the assurance of making life more comfortable for the people of the state if elected as governor come November 16, promising to align the 2025 state budget with current needs. In another development, the National Orientation Agency, in partnership with INEC, held a sensitization program aimed at educating the electorate on their civic duties and responsibilities ahead of the November 16th governorship election in the state.
All government organizations here present should know that it is important that they collaborate with INEC and use their different platforms to promote electoral literacy.
Meanwhile, in the lead-up to the election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has commenced the distribution of permanent voter cards, PVCs, in preparation for the Ondo State governorship election scheduled for November 16th.
Hardly spend 2 minutes before you search your name and get it, then you sign before you leave.
It means a lot, but I'm so happy to collect it now.
The exercise will continue until October 29th in Akure. Abiola Rio, NTA News.
Sports news and more after this time out. Do stay tuned. Sports news is next with Bade. Thank you, Bade. Now, President Bola Tinubu has commiserated with the family of late President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo, Chief Emmanuel Iwanyawo, the government and people of Imo State, as the burial rites begins soon. The President Tinubu described late Chief Iwanyawo as a colossus of many parts, indigenous businessman and an astute politician. The President points to his contributions on many official callings towards the socio-economic development of the nation, including Iwanyawo National Football Club, now Heartland FC, which he founded in 1985, that won several national and international championships. He also describes late Chief Iwanyawo as an entrepreneur who believes in Nigeria's human and material abundance, lived a life of service with his wealth serving his people and the nation, providing scholarships to indigent students, building schools and hospitals, and supporting many charitable causes, and prayed God Almighty to grant his soul eternal rest. And that's Network News for tonight. We thank you for watching. Do have a good weekend. I am Lami Ali.